Welcome back, everybody, to Ravenstar's Witching Hour. I'm your host, Solaris BlueRaven. My awesome guest tonight is Renee Coltson. And Renee, it's just such a fantastic conversation tonight. This is so amazing to me. I'm really enjoying this information.
Well, and I wanted to go back to Bill's question for a second, because I do want to address the animal part. So do animals respond more quickly than plants? You know what? Do people? Again, it goes back to that's really an individual thing. So I've worked with, I don't know, thousands of animals, and how an animal responds energetically, like when I walk into a household, that can vary from animal to animal. Some may calm right down. It's like that for all of us. So they're sentient beings. That means they're individuals, just like us. They really are. And I wanted to also cover a little bit of interesting information. Now, some schools of thought, and I would go along with this school of thought, that, over 90% of the biomass of this planet, because you also have to consider that there's plants in the ocean, there's plants in the lakes, there's plants in all bodies of water, right? Except for the Black Sea. And so there's 90+ % of the biomass of this planet is covered by plants. We can't live without them. I think we should be kind to them. We could not exist without them. It is absolutely an interdependent relationship. Well, not really, because they could probably live without us, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But Darwin had some interesting information on plant life on this planet. And basically, he said that the plant world occupies over 80% of the earth. But what we see of that on the surface is only 20%. So I want people to really get that. When you're walking across the earth, be aware there is so much going on under our feet that we are so completely unaware of. On my birthday, just past August, I got quite a gift that day. I walked out my back door, and there was a snakeskin, partially hanging outside of a rodent hole, right? There might have been a foot, maybe. I don't know. I looked at it and I went, ooh, snakeskin. And I thought twice. I said, I'm not touching it because, not because I'm afraid of the snakeskin, but I thought, what if it's still there? So I left it alone. Went back out a little later and it was substantially shorter. So the snake was still connected to that skin. They go into a rodent hole and they roll around to get, it's a lot of work actually for a snake to shed its skin. And metaphorically, what a cool gift that was,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But that day, that's part of this whole story, really, because I didn't really, that day is when I realized, I went, gosh, who knows what I'm walking over from my back door to my truck, right? The caverns that exist underneath our feet. Not to mention if I step out of my driveway and up into the desert, there are things going up there we have no idea. Like in the forest, there's a biologist, or ecologist rather, that did some research with Music of the Plants. I forget her name, but I have it. It's in this book called Music of the Plants. Well, I'll talk about 47 pages of the most interesting information to me, and I'm sure to a lot of you. So she did a lot of research up in a fir forest, and what they determined and through their research came to realize is there is a mother tree. That mother tree made sure that nutrients were getting to the new trees that were just popping up, right? They're all connected through fungi, is like the internet connective system under the earth in a forest, delivering nutrients and communication through all the life in the forest. It is phenomenal. So on that Darwin thing, 80% is under the ground, 20% is what we see. That fascinates me. And he went on further to say, which I thought, oh my God, that is interesting. He said that the roots are not just there to feed the plant, but they are also there to explore the surrounding space with purpose and intelligence. Of course, they're looking for nutrients. They're looking for the best direction to go to where the nutrients are, to follow to the water. And also, they're very sensory perceptive. They see not like we do, but they see. They have receptors on their, well, this is a little, deep. I don't even know if it's necessary, but.
That's interesting.
Well, it's interesting to me. I mean, this is, oh my God, I just love this, They feel gravity. They feel atmospheric changes. They smell, they taste, they feel, and they see. So they actually have more sensory perceptions than we do. Gravity. They sense.
You're talking about the root system of the trees.
The whole plant. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Now, what Darwin called the root systems of the plant is the brain. So, he speculated that the plants lived and worked upside down to human beings with their heads in the ground and the rest of their body visible in the air. So as Darwin saw it, the roots are the equivalent of the human brain, because even though there aren't neurotransmitters and all that stuff going on, all of the processes, all of the interactive parts from an intelligent point, not that the leaves aren't intelligent, because they turn towards the light and all that, but it comes from the roots. So with that information in mind,
wow, I
hadn't really looked at the cover of this book I got. I got it from Amazon, right? It's there. It's on Kindle. I like the real thing to hold. But
who's the author of the book?
Oh, what a great question. I know that it was one of the researchers, and let me Sylvia Buffagni. She is one of the researchers that from Music of Plants.
Excellent.
She's a spiritual researcher, writer, and international speaker on innovation. Lives at Damanhur Federation of Communities in Italy, where she conducts research on the vital energies of nature. Well, so I hadn't really looked at the cover of this plant book very closely until I was on the phone with Paul a little earlier, and I sent him a picture of it. And I said, check this out, because we were discussing my logo is in development, for Eden Melodies, and I wanted musical notes and a stave and a vine connecting the notes, like flowing through it. And my friend who's drawing it, she actually drew Eden Melodies into the stave. It's beautiful. So this cover caught my attention. I went, oh, well, check that out. It's a stave. Well, check that out. It's upside down and backwards. Mm. And so that took me, if I hadn't, done a little review, I wouldn't have seen the Darwin thing. Mm-hmm. And I went, oh, so the music is really coming from the roots. And the way they have this graphic on the Music of the Plants book, it's showing this music is coming from underneath the trunk of the tree, up from the roots and wrapping around the tree. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. I will send. I'm going to send you a picture of that later. Actually, I'll post it on Facebook. Because it's fascinating. Are there any other questions? I mean, I have more, but
let me check real quick. If anybody in the chat has a question, let me know. I don't see anything right now, so we're pretty good with that.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's fascinating. I'm so interested in this. It's just amazing to me.
Well, once I have it, once I actually get it, I'll be able to sit here and play and music and I'll know more. I mean, I feel like I really understand it to the degree without having my hands on it.
You do.
I know that this is the real deal. There's no question in my mind that this is an extraordinary thing, and I am so proud to be even a part of this organization called Music of the Plants at Damanhur. I think it's a really exciting thing.
I think it's fabulous. And also what comes to mind is the water elements. Everything is in communication, and consciousness is programmable, for example, with water. So you're looking at all these different elements, not just the plants, but the insects. And it's just fascinating to me how everything is connected. And we all knew this anyway, but the fact that you're establishing a real tangible form of communication where you can experience it makes it, it just changes the whole dynamic, you know?
Well, I found out a long time ago that the place to go and talk about consciousness and how to change the world and become aware are elementary schools. Because I've been in, I started going into the elementary schools with Partnership in Planetary Healing back in the late 90s and talking to them about, if you could change one thing in the world, what would it be? And they brought me an essay back the next day on what it would be. But the children are really the way-showers for the adults. I mean, as always, even in the 100th Monkey, it's, critical mass begins with the children. And I'm counting on the children to wake up the parents, really. Today, the younger people, because I'm not young, but I think the younger people, two generations behind me, are far ahead, and there are people I could talk to that I know that they're just going to roll their eyes, at this whole thing. I mean, I'm used to it. Eyes have been rolled at me for a long, long time, so I'm good. I've got my Teflon on. So,
I just put the book in the chat room, so people can at least look at it. It's on Amazon, so they can find it there. It's not very expensive.
And it's so cool. I was so happy because I don't like these big, massive books with small print. It's 47 pages, but you know what? It took me a few days to get it through because every time I saw a name, and maybe 2 days, I went in, I Googled their research papers, I looked at YouTube, I looked at TED Talk, I looked at the Nature Channel. I go, I need to go look this person up, and I'll tell you, this is why I'm educated on this now, because I really made a commitment to, I want to really get this. I want to be able to go on. I want to talk about this. Even, I'm not perfect.
So what does the distributor do, Renee, when you're a distributor? What exactly are you doing?
Oh, well, first of all, I want to tell you that if you call me, I'm not going to sell a distributorship. That's not what I do. This is not a pyramid thing. Oh, thank God, because I hate those. So what a distributor does, and I don't know how I feel about that word, but that's what they call them,
Okay.
What I do is to become a distributor, basically, I had to tell them what my plan of strategy was. What am I going to do? And believe me, it was endless. I'm sure she got bored with it. I have so many ideas on how to take this out into the world and really just entertain people. I'm really about the entertainment part. And when I say entertainment, the entertainment is the education. So it's a really fun way to wake up people to this very important information on plants as the other sentient beings of the planet, besides humans, besides animals.
They're looking for intelligent life, and there you go, right?
Right. So that's the first thing I had to do. So I described my platform, and of course I have my whole background was going globetrotting, right? Mm-hmm. Going out and doing presentations and talking to people about uplifting and changing and, through Partnership and Planetary Healing and for the animals. So this is right up my alley. This is like piece of cake. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I have to do is, I buy inventory. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to put some of those in service, because what I want to do is I'm not really ready to go out and do events until I am seriously have interacted with the technology, so that I know what I'm doing. So I'll have it in a couple of weeks. When my website's up, there will be some available for purchase. Not a whole lot, because I didn't order a whole lot. I explained to them. I said, no, I'm not signing up for 30 minutes. I need to get to know this, and then the first of the year I'll really launch it in a big way. But that's it. Basically, you have to state your case. Like, why do you want to be involved with this? What are your plans? Mm-hmm. What is your strategy? Who are you going to go to? How are you going to get it there? You have to have a website. You either have to have a page on your website dedicated to Music of the Plants, or website. Of course, I chose an entire website. I wanted a whole new, another web. So now I have 3. Partnership in Planetary Healing, Renee Coltson, and now Music of the Plants, and Animal Wellness World. And because I think it's really, they all tie together, but they're all independent. And so
it's all about communication. It's all about the way you're working consciousness. Yeah.
And also, I believe in team support. I mean, 100%. That's one of the things I said in my list, my whole list. I sent her like so many points. And one of them is like being really supportive to Music of the Plants and their mission, and also to all the other people globally, all of the other people who are involved with this mission, who are distributors. The word bothers me, but that's what we're called. Working with the other distributors and doing events. So we have to do events. I have to have online sales.
Well, that sounds like fun. I think people will be turned on by it. I think it's going to be a success, quite honestly.
I'm turned by it. I am. Okay. So do you want to know how much it is? Just because people are wondering.
Yeah.
I was shocked in a good way when I found out that for under $500, I could get a unit like this and have this much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. I think.
That's not bad.
No, the bamboo is like $460. And well, you know what? I have no idea what my cost is going to end up being because I've got, when it actually lands, like who knows? But I'm dealing with the euro and all that. But anyway, I noticed in Pennsylvania they sell them for a lot more than they do in Boulder, and I think it's because she gives you sort of instruction. But who wouldn't do that? Who wouldn't do that?
Right.
But this is supposed to be so easy that you don't really need instruction. So for me, the bamboo, just the straight on technology that is 440 hertz, nothing, that's probably the one for me to start with. Mm-hmm. They did tell me that mostly people buy bamboo M's. I said, well, that's good. I'm not going to start with that one. I have them. I'm getting them. And that's the one that you can select the hertz level that you want. It has 125 instruments instead of the 90 the bamboo has. But anyway, so I plan on being really focused on education. I really want to go into the school systems. I don't think it's going to be hard to get in. It's a little different now in today's world than it was when I was going into the school system with Partnership in Planetary Healing, in the late 90s and early 2000s before I was globetrotting and I had no time. But I think it's going to be a different, I think they're going to vet me pretty closely,
Mm-hmm. And this is fantastic. Yes, I think this is incredible. It's quite the, I don't want to say it's a breakthrough. It's been around for a while in a sense, but we're showing a lot more detail now with communication. I think it's fascinating. It's
more accessible now than it was with the bigger device. I mean, the bigger device was enough to send me down the road, 18 months ago. I went, okay, that's great stuff, but no, I can't do that. So it's, I want to share with people. Yes, they'll be available for purchase. Yes, I'll do those health expos and I'll do stuff like that. But my focus is really education. But the more units that get out there, the more people that get educated too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it still seems like it's formulating a healing modality to some degree.
Well, to me, it is 100%, 100%, it's energy, it's positive energy. And I think that, well, what I haven't said is I have not ever put this on Facebook or anything, but I actually am going in for hip replacement because for whatever reason, I couldn't fix it. And so I want my life back because I couldn't get on my horse. And I always said, the day that I can't get on my horse, somebody shoot me. Well, I was just kidding, right? But then that day came, I couldn't get on my horse. And I went, I'm going to have to go get this fixed. So I am going to get it fixed. But I hope my devices are here because I want a plant with me in the hospital. I want a device with me in the hospital and through my recovery process, which is, another reason why I'm not going to be out until first of the year.
Right. And let me know the date too. Make sure you let me know about when you're going in and all that stuff. But
it's pretty soon.
Let me know. Yeah,
I will. And anyway, So I think, and I'll learn everything then, which is really why I didn't want to make this huge commitment for this big order that they really suggested that I launch my. I said, no, and they were nice about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
good,
excellent.
Cool. It's interesting because I remember doing a reading for you I don't know how long ago it was, but we talked about some different levels of going on, and well, I'll touch on it later, but it was interesting. It sounds like you're going exactly in the direction I kind of predicted for you.
Well, yes, you're really good.
Credit,
yes, of course you should. And even your Halloween, because I really enjoyed that. I love that live streaming you did. That was awesome.
It was spontaneous.
I bet there were so many people that were so grateful that you did that. And I was one of them because you pulled the card.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? Isn't that interesting?
Yes. And that, in fact, I use the word in my bio, re-emerging, because that was a card to pull. Anyway, it was interesting. But honestly, this little book, Music of the Plants, it's beyond valuable, even just to know more and have if you never want, whether a person wants a device or not, this Music of the Plants book, honestly, it is chock full of really interesting information that I think is invaluable. And if people like plants, they should definitely just get this little book called Music of the Plants. And if people, Nexus, I still have my beat up copy of Nexus magazine. I mean, that's how important it was. I kept this magazine for all this time.
Wow.
That March 2017 issue. So if people are subscribers to online for Nexus magazine, the Simon Vitale's article is really, really interesting. It's just an eye opener. I just think,
and something we need right now. So we really, really do need this right now in a world like this, And
sometimes it just takes one little thing for people, like that one little word family in that few paragraphs that came through. When I walked out into the, my desert backyard last weekend, I mean, I looked at the trees. I love my trees. I've loved the desert. But, I looked at them like, oh my God, you're my brothers and sisters.
Yeah, it changes the whole dynamic once again. Well, same thing here. We have beautiful forests over here, and of course, a lot of toxicity when it comes to chemtrails and geoengineering and beetle kill, everything.
Right. Yes. That's right.
It is sad to see that because you see the forests kind of dying, and they are living intelligent beings. I mean, they're life forms. That's end of story. So.
Well, I have one more plant experience, and then maybe we should move on to our next topic.
For sure.
This is a pretty interesting one.
Oh, yeah.
So I was in Maine a year ago at my friend's Emily's home, and she had this inside hibiscus. There's something about hibiscus inside.
What is that?
This is not the bush that the story came through. That is in Cave Creek, but in Arizona. Anyway, I would visit with this plant and I would admire this plant. And I'd say, God, this is such a beautiful plant. Hibiscus in the house. And she goes, oh, it's really sick. It's really a sick plant. It's never bloomed. Never, never, never. I went, oh. So I just paid attention to the hibiscus. And when I got back home from my vacation, Emily sent me a picture. She goes, so this is what happened. It's a beautiful, beautiful red bloom that, because all the plant wanted was some love, right? And I gave it plenty. So probably in your household, it's just a plant, it's a decorative piece, right? Maybe nobody paid attention to it, but I would go, God, this plant is so beautiful. All right, so I contacted Emily today because she's drawing that thing for me, and I said, hey, can you remind me? Did you tell me that hibiscus went into bloom after I left? She goes, yes, it did. She goes, and we completely knew it was about you. And she goes, but then it also died. And I said, oh no. And she goes, well, because what we think happened is it was so sick, we think it took everything out of that plant to bloom.
Wow.
So it used everything it had to make that flower happen. And then it died. And I said, oh, first I was sad. And then I went, well, isn't it beautiful that she got to, or he, it, I have a hard time with the it thing, right? Could fully express herself or himself. I don't know how you tell the difference. Okay. There must be a way. But I said, isn't it beautiful that the plant was able to completely fully express itself before it passed on. That's all we all want to do, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Completely to the fullest express ourselves.
This means if your plant's being neglected, show it love. And that is
That's
true.
right.
You've seen the footage of plants that are being yelled at and they don't do very well. And
well,
if
it's
they're
kind
sent
of
love. Yeah.
right. It's like Dr. Emoto's research on water.
Right.
Negative energy. Right. So I really appreciate you having me on to talk about this. Usually I talk about other stuff, and
it's so exciting. No, I'm really happy to talk about this. I want to go in depth on it. Actually, I can't wait till you get more details on it and as you get your products and start working with them.
I actually think you should go visit Davenhurst in Boulder.
Yeah, well, it's right in my neighborhood, so to speak, in the Illusion of. So yeah, definitely
go
check
see
it
Mary.
out.
When I called and Mary answered the phone, I laughed because I laughed. I smiled when she answered. She goes, "This is Mary," because it brought me, because I was calling at that point. Honestly, I was just calling to buy a device. I went, I have to have one of those. I gotta have one of those. So she answered, "Right, this is Mary," and I said, "I'm smiling because I had an interactive experience with a mint plant that said her name was Mary Mint."
And did you tell her that?
I did. Of course I did. It's totally like me. Of course I did. And she laughed about that, and we had a really nice chat. And then, it was a Friday night, and she was kind of on her way out of the office. I said, "No, I'm not going to keep you. Let me just let me talk to you again on Monday." And then by Monday, I went, "No, actually, I need to be part of this. This is where I need to go." And so here I am.
Excellent.
So there.
Happy you're here. Happy. I love it. It's fascinating. And I did put all the links in the chat so people can at least access and follow. And once again, give everybody your addresses and your website so people know how to contact you.
ReneeColtson.com. So my email address is on there. The secondary name of that, by the way, is animalwellness.world. So that site is really primarily about the work I do with animals and what I teach other people to do with animals. And whether it's for their own household animals or their domestic animals outside, or on a professional basis, going out and creating a professional practice healing animals, which is, I'm going to tell you, it's one of the most fulfilling things to be able to go help these really beloved creatures. And then also I do offer healing sessions for people, but it's not going to be too obvious, I don't think, on that website.
You're awesome at what you do, by the way. Powerful healer, and I can attest for that with myself and my animals. So yeah.
And then the other website is piphealing.org. That's Partnership in Planetary Healing. And that is a 501c3, and it's completely dedicated to shifting awareness. And if I could I would have put music of the plants underneath Partnership in Planetary Healing, or in that organization. But somebody told me you can't run a distributor of the 501s. I went, okay, no problem. We'll just have it like its own thing. And then, of course, when it's up, it'll be Eden Melody, EDEN melodies.com. And that's a spinoff of my LLC, which is called Wend-en-Eden, which, by the way, translates to Return to Paradise.
I like that.
Wend-en-Eden means to find one's way, to take one's course, to go into Eden or paradise.
Beautiful.
And it kind of does work, with the plants.
Very nice. So, awesome information. Beautiful. Thank you for telling us. So thank you for, informing everybody. It's awesome.
Do we want to enlighten people what we're going to talk about next?
Oh, yeah. So this is another one. We're going to hold on to your hat for this one, right?
I think so, because I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Well, so we did mention in my bio, I'm a contactee, not on Facebook, but what you spun off mixed in there as I am a contactee. And I've had mostly I've had benevolent contact for the most part. I've had a couple of episodes that, seemed unpleasant, but I'm okay. And a friend of mine, a very good, close, really good friend of mine, who I've been connected to through, Reiki and just a lot of metaphysical stuff through the years. I'd say 25 of them. Mm-hmm. She's emailed me on Sunday with something that happened on Saturday night. And she wanted to know what I thought. What were my thoughts? Would I share them with her? Let me precede this by telling you that this particular woman has been tracked and harassed by extraterrestrials all of her life. Since she was a child, she's been dragged out of her bed. Her mother, her sisters also. It hasn't been pleasant. When we first started talking about our episode, she said, I don't get it, Renee. You're not freaked out at all about it. It doesn't bother you. I went, well, why would it bother me? They're my people. It doesn't bother me. I'm usually not getting checked in on or well, it doesn't matter because I'm not here to talk tonight about my episodes. I just wanted to say she's the real deal. She is. And if you met her, you'd be lucky. But she is so angelic. She has these beautiful blue, bright, light eyes, blonde hair, her skin. Now she's listening. She's laughing at my perception of her. Yeah, because we never see people the same way, right? As other people's, we don't see ourselves the same way. But she's just got this vibrant skin. She's just light. She's an amazing healer. She's an amazing human being. She's just amazing. Her essence is just beautiful. And however, I will add to that, if you mess with her, watch out. So she's definitely a strong human being. So last Saturday, and through the years, she shared a lot of things that have happened to her. And I understand why she was not comfortable showing up here in person or on the airwaves, because it scares her. But she knew after she sent this to me, and my response to her was, this has to be shared. And she said, I agree. And she's an amazing, what she does healing. She's very public in that, but she sure isn't public in all this other stuff. She just kind of keeps it to herself. And, we don't all go out and talk about it, right? So anyway, so when I told her what time you were on, Solaris, she wasn't comfortable with it because mostly the stuff happens in the dark. It happens mostly at night. And she's home, she goes, and there I'll be all by myself in the dark, scared to death. I can't do this, Renee. I'm really sorry. I take it back. I can't do it. I can only do daytime hours. So we decided that I would do it. And, I resisted for a minute because I went, oh, this isn't my message. This should come from you. But you know what? I'm here and I'm going to share it. So I'm just going to read, okay? I'm just going to read her email because I think people need to get the fullness of what this is.
Okay.
So I'm not using her name or her husband. Her husband was there at home when this happened. And her email says, I have to share a dream that my husband and I both had this morning, a dream. By the way, however many of you are out there who are contactees or abductees, mostly they do seem like dreams, right? In a way. So she goes, there was a huge UFO over our house. They were into our consciousness, listening to our thoughts. If I was thinking in an ego-based way, thinking for what was good for me as an individual, rather than thinking more along the lines of universal consciousness, meaning what is the decision I can make that would better serve the planet and make all my choices that way. Okay? Comma. I would remain untouched. So if she was selfless, leaning towards her choices in life to be conscious of what is going to be of service to the bigger picture, she wouldn't be touched. I would remain untouched. If I thought from the point of what is best for me as an individual, I would be taken and adjusted in a way that I wouldn't be myself anymore. I wouldn't look like myself or act like myself. And when I was returned, I would be morphed into someone that didn't even resemble me, as I was seen, as I was seen was done to others, and it was terror time. So as she's having these thoughts, she was seeing what was being done to people on this craft that was parked over her house, and it was terrifying. Okay, wait. So, people were screaming and trying to run and hide for them. I was watching it happen to other people who were with us. So every thought I had in each second, it had to be what is best universally, and came to that thought. By working through each thought, I was okay. The UFO was huge over our house. It was big and round, just hovering above my house on an angle. It was the size of 3 or 4 football fields, probably even bigger than that. They didn't take me, but they were inside my consciousness, listening to every thought I was thinking, scanning every thought. There really wasn't, I had no ability to run or to hide. They were in our thoughts. I wasn't running or hiding, simply observing it all as it happened. When her husband woke up, she said to him, I just had a weird dream about a UFO and ETs. And my husband said, so did I. And he said, here's what my dream was. There was a big UFO over our house, and they were taking people. Yeah.
Jeez.
I know. Normally, I had a struggle with this. You know why? Because I only like to share positivity. I don't like to scare people, but, it's important. So, okay, so I just had a weird dream about a UFO and ETs, and he said, so did I. My dream was there was a big UFO over a house, and they were taking people, same as in my dream. One guy said he was taken, and my husband didn't believe him. The man raised up his shirt and showed him, the husband, by pulling up his shirt, that he had been branded by the ETs over his right chest. Renee, what are the chances of this being a dream, or was it reality? How do you view this situation, that we had the same dream at the same time? I'd love to know your thoughts. Oh, wait, another day in paradise.
Oh, geez. That's intense.
So basically, I don't think that that's any different from, the information I've gotten from Stan Bull, the beluga whale. Remember, I've been on with you about that. And the things that we all know as, way shorers or light bearers or whatever you want to call yourself. I think we all know this. I mean, I think that for the most part, people who would be in your audience would be aware of this, but you know what? We still can have those moments of being a human being, right? So, I don't know if there's any questions that are coming up or if anything you want to add.
I'm just looking at it on an analytical level, actually, and I'm just kind of looking through the whole corridor of it. But it seems to me like they definitely were abducted and together, obviously. And also, she mentioned that she didn't feel like she was taken, but inducted, yes, and interfaced, absolutely. So, in my opinion, I think she was, but she probably doesn't really realize that. She was seeming to think that she wasn't, but she was totally pulled into that program, whatever it was. That's just the way I look at it. It's just by the description alone. But then, of course, and she talked a little bit about something that seemed like they were trying to compromise her brainwave activity. And that seems like a little bit of mind control and entrainment programming and possibly an insertion of an alter or synthetic personality. So I'm looking at it at a whole different level. And I find it very, very interesting. And I don't believe it's a coincidence. And I would say, yeah, they were pulled in. And they probably will be pulled in again at some point.
Right. And I didn't get lost. I'm like back on something you said. And now I can't find it.
And the branding over the chest is interesting too. But go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think that she was definitely being made aware that if the right choices weren't made, that she would be morphed into something that she's not. No. I don't, we know these aren't benevolent people, ETs. We know for sure, because I don't know. I just feel like, I've had arguments with people go, oh, you're an abductee. And I go, no, I'm not. That indicates that it's against your will. And a contactee, usually we're in agreement to do that. See, Kathy, I don't know. She's spent a life in terror, really, of these malevolent ETs. And
well, she sounds almost like she's a military, my lab, almost like a military abduction. And I have to ask, there's no description of the ETs. I don't see them unless you have one.
No.
Okay.
But she's had encounters. I'll get it for you if she has one. She's had encounters with these tall, blonde, thin ones.
Nordics.
Yeah. That's what it sounded like to me. But she also has been tracked by men and women in black. When there's an episode, often that's what's next. She's way out of the scope of my experience. I mean,
she almost sounds like, does she have like a military background or family connected to military, high profile government, anything like that?
Well, she definitely is used for breeding. We both have been, and but for different purposes. And she is, if I've got this right, because we've talked about it, and since I'm not saying her name, I can pretty much say anything, right? So, I mean, as far as what she's shared with me. I think, her and I went to the UFO Congress one year, and she went up from your friend, right? Doing the
Steve Colbert?
Was he the one that does the
planet analysis? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. She had handprints all over her body, from the ETs. They glow. When they do that thing and they go for, they run the thing over the body to get
he does an ultraviolet scan and all kinds of stuff.
Right, exactly. Wow. He said, well, you were taken last night, because she had all these imprints, all these handprints on her legs. They dragged her out of her bed, apparently. And anyway, so maybe it spun off from that. And by the way, I had an appointment 3 times set up for that scan, and my phone never rang. And then I said, I must be right, because I wasn't supposed to be there. And by the 3rd time I got it, I went, okay, so I'm not going to be in that database.
So interesting. Yeah, it's probably a blessing.
But anyway, I think that the discussion might have happened on our way home that day from the UFO Congress. That remember I said she's so angelic, yet don't mess with her family. Don't. I think she's got that Scottish bloodline they want for hybrids, probably. Right? For warriors.
You have Scottish too, don't you?
No, I have Irish.
Oh, well, close enough. But
Close enough, but it's not quite the same bloodline,
Yeah, I have Scottish too. I have a lot of Celt. Yeah.
Right. So there you are. I do have Irish, but anyway, so she's met her offspring. I've met my offspring, and she's a pretty interesting person. I feel I was so excited when she said, yeah, I'll do this, until she found out it's after dark. And, I understand. I
don't blame her. No, that's fine. And I appreciate her offering the information and allowing you to translate and communicate the data. And also, what about a regression? Have either one of you thought about doing something like that, since you're both sounds like you're busy, getting pulled into things covertly?
I don't know if she's ever had that. I never have.
I was just wondering because you'd find an awful lot of data if you're really wanting to go to deeper levels. In my opinion, you might want to access that. I had to ask too, and I don't know if you can relay this, what state she's in.
She's in Arizona.
Oh, she's in Arizona. Okay. Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, that's a hot spot, obviously. You know that for you.
It is. Mm-hmm. Yep. It definitely is, right?
Fascinating. And the fact that she mentioned the ship being so big, that's interesting to me.
That is because, I don't really know, how it works.
What color it was? Or did she mention the color of it?
No, she didn't, but
I'd like to get color and description, a little more detail with what she saw. If she's ready to do that at some point, she can send over.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
You can probably talk to her,
Or I'll send her an email if she wants to. Right. It's just, I'm interested because she has details, but she didn't put them all in there.
Well, she seems to think that they were in her thoughts, which may be. It would, yeah, she would know. I would guess. I mean, she knew how the ship was like positioned.
She was interfacing with them. She was interfacing. Right. If she was interfacing with them, she was pulled on the ship. She doesn't. She may not think so, but she was, in my opinion. Because it's consciousness, it's energy, and you're already there. So yes. There's no distance, there's no time, there's no space. So
I'm so dragnet because I just stick with, well, here's what she said happened.
I know, I get it, but I've also been.
So I'm glad you. Well, yes, because you have a lot more information than I do. You're more able to translate than I am. So
we work together.
Yeah, that's right.
It's fascinating, and I appreciate this information. I think the listeners will too. If you guys have any questions in the chat or any comments, just put them in there. We'll try to answer them or at least address them. But I find it interesting. This isn't a solo thing insofar as a lot more people are getting picked up.
The animals are interesting because my dog will saw logs through the whole thing. My cat, he gets disturbed when something's going on. I woke up one night because my cat was pacing on the bed on top of me.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
And I looked out my bedroom door and my kitchen was glowing with this blue-white light, right? Mm. And there's no window I'm not that close to like a highway or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And the blind, and I went, okay, I don't know what that is. But when Emily was here one night, and I still don't, and I just shivered under even though I'm comfortable with it, it's still frightening when something's there and you don't know what it is. I mean, one night I actually called the police because I just
did you?
Yeah, because I just wanted somebody to show up.
Right.
Like just show up. I said, I think I have a problem, and they came over and they went all around the house and it settled me down, and I went back to bed.
Oh, that's good.
It's crazy because I say I'm not afraid, but apparently I am. But when
it's
Emily,
radar.
Yeah. Because boy, I'll tell you, in the early days, years ago, I used to like feel like what's happening, who's out there, and it was almost like the what was that movie with the the ship that came?
Close Encounters.
Yeah. I would actually move stuff in front of my door, and I would just
blame you.
Hey, I just want to hear them come in. Well, they have come through the door. Never have they come through the door. Not ever.
Yeah, they don't need.
But you know what? I'm actually more okay with ETs than I am human beings coming through my door than I expect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Absolutely, yeah. But I had a friend staying with me one time, and we were both staying in my room, and I had a skylight over my bed, and I don't know, because honestly, I slept through the whole thing. But she woke up and the bed was like vibrating, like, and she goes, Renee. And she grabs my arm, she goes, Renee, and I didn't wake up. She woke up. She moved over. She grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me. She could hear like voices. There was like a red infrared light coming through the skylight and also out the window. Mm-hmm. And she goes, then she saw my dog, Keisha-san, was like just sawing logs on the bed. And she said, well, guess he's okay with it. I'll be okay with it. And she said that explained a lot to her because she did know me in my way long ago corporate days, long time ago, long time ago, real corporate,
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, that kind of explains what changed you. So I think that we do change with contact.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, it's actually been a favorable change.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it changes your consciousness and on everything. Also raises your frequency, in my opinion. I know a lot of people who are contactees have better immune systems. A lot of good things can happen from that. If you get pulled into the warfare program, which some of the stuff I was pulled into was more, very dark, but it's more weaponized. So it's a little more militarized. So it's not easy.
No,
better off doing what you guys are doing,
Yeah, and I don't get sick, by the way. I have this hip problem, and I wonder why. Like, hello, can you just fix it? Right. But I don't get sick. Mm-hmm. I don't get the flu when other people have the flu. I didn't even have childhood diseases.
Mm-hmm.
I never had measles or chicken pox, or I still have all my parts. Now I'm going to lose a joint.
Oh.
But
I do hear good things about the hip replacements, just for what it's worth. But
this is like, I've never been under anesthesia, except for I had to have an upper GI and and prep. But so that I did. I had some anesthesia there, but that was my first time. I've never had been under. Yeah, never. Well, anyway. So I managed to get through, I don't know, 2/3 of my life or more.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's really good. It's something that they look at also. Doctors will look at that. They're always amazed, if you haven't been in the hospital for anything severe, broken bones and things like that. But yeah.
Oh, listen, I did one day. Had an accident, and I just got some duct tape and some styrofoam.
Good for you. All right.
Well, yeah, and I went, yeah, that's good. And
what did you break? Can I ask?
It was a spiral fracture.
Oh, geez.
At my ankle bone, up my, what's that, big bone? Yeah, and so that was on like a Friday. Well, you try to find a doctor on a Friday, right? Oh. And so I did that, duct tape and styrofoam. Had somebody go to the drugstore, pick me some stuff, because you know what? I'm around horses. We can fix stuff.
That's right.
And on Monday I went, well, I guess I better go to the doctor and get an x-ray, and I did. They went, how are you walking around? How have you not moved this bone?
Duct tape.
Oh, yeah. And hello, you need surgery. Screws. I went, oh, you know what? No, you give me 2 weeks. And if you still think I need that, what are you going to do in 2 weeks? I went, well, I don't know, but you'll see. And sure enough, I did not need to have surgery.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
Who wants to go through life with a plate and screws at their ankle with all the airports I was running through?
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, I'm fortunate. But the hip, I am sorry to say, I have had, you worked on me, and every time you did work with me, I felt better. I could always tell when somebody was, working with me. I would have like a really good day. But anyway, it just seems like I got to meet that doctor,
We'll be sending good healing vibes your way.
Thank you.
I know. That's a fascinating story, though. I do want to thank you for sharing that, and thank your friend for sharing that. It's very important, and I think it's something that people needed to hear in the audience.
I think that people have to be, I think what we need to be aware of is our high voltage emotional energy.
Yep.
And really mind our P's and Q's on that. There's a, like any day that I leave the ranch and I go out onto Carefree Highway and I have to make a U-turn to go east, there's a right turn, right? They don't have the right of way. When I'm making that U-turn on Carefree Highway, there's somebody coming off of this parkway. And I notice that they never look at what's going on in the middle of the road. They just go right. Like there's no traffic, oncoming traffic from the west. So they just make the turn, right? Well, okay. So I've, unleashed a few high voltage moments on that. And yesterday I just stopped and went, you know what? Don't make this your drama. Don't just go another way, or let them go, or honk and wave at them just to let you know. Because, it could cause a problem if I wait for them to turn and then the oncoming traffic is coming in. But anyway, it's like, people be aware of, if you're making a right-hand turn on a red light and you really don't have the right of way, be aware of what's happening from the center of the lane. But that really set me off often. And I thought, wow, Stan Bowles said, remember what he said? He said, you have light work. There are people who may not cause much of a ripple with an emotional upheaval, but he said people who are in the light, or light workers, way shores, whatever you want to call, no labels here, but whatever your reference is, right, can create a tsunami if there's a high voltage emotional negative release. And that energy is harnessed, harvested, and weaponized against the light, against humanity, against the planet, to continue to keep the disturbances prevalent on this planet, to keep us in fighting like is going on.
I agree with you. And Renee, we're just about out of time here. I just want to thank you so much for joining us. It's been a blessing to have you on tonight. I just really love you, and I'm so happy that you joined us, because the information was outstanding. So thank you.
I love you too. Thank you. I love you too.
Wonderful. You're fantastic. I mean, I encourage everybody to reach out to Renee, get a session, get your animals a session, follow her website. She's fantastic, incredible teacher, incredible enlightened being. So thank you so much. And I did want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. And also stay tuned for Shiny Side Out with David Dunger and Meki coming up next to sail you on to the night, as I blur my words, from Down Under with their awesome show. I think they'll be discussing death and resurrection. That's a very interesting topic. So make sure you tune in for that one. Any final words, Renee? I think we're just about out of time here.
Well, just mind your high voltage releases.
All right. That's good advice right there. Okay. Well,
be calm.
Exactly. Especially in these times. Yes. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you again, Renee. I'll talk to y'all next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
If you think for 1 second that the Capitol will ever treat us fairly, you are lying to yourselves, because we know who they are and what they do. This is what they do, and we must fight back. You can torture us and bomb us. Fire is catching. And if we burn, you burn with us.
Good evening.
Are you awake yet? I hope. We've tried for years and years to use passive resistance and loud voices to make a change. But time is over. Your governments around the world have no other goal than to decimate your entire existence at the hands of the bankers and the elites. The war is coming, and it's your choice to decide if you want to be a warrior or a victim. Denial is not a choice anymore. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. Cleaning house.
This is the people's war. It is our war. We are the fighters. Fight it then. Fight it with all that is in us. And may God defend the right.
Warning! Warning!
We gotta stop them! They're gonna kill us all! See how the trouble you've started? Be they the government, be they industry, be they organized labor, be they anyone, or human beings. Time when the operation of the machine